where the financial concerns are far more powerful than any government on earth.
Okay. Understood.
So
the thing that I was trying to differentiate it was because, some of us are familiar with Art Bell and his radio show that, takes in topics ranging from UFO abductions.
Yeah, I've heard him. I haven't heard him talk about Bilderbergs, but I've heard his show. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm not ultimately familiar with everything he's ever done, but he takes authors that do topics such as Bilderbergers, UFOs, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of this seems familiar to me only because I have a problem with the conspiracy theory in terms of as a genre. It seems to me, and I'm not trying to denigrate your work, and I'm curious actually to read the book, but it seems like this does fall into that genre where
it's just a conspiracy, you mean?
Well, yeah, there's a dark, overarching corporate entity, if you will, and that they have a somewhat non-good plan for the rest of the world.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. At this point, do you think they have the benefit of the world in mind, or themselves?
Well, I doubt that there is a single entity that we could actually identify as a Bilderberger. And again,
No. I agree. It's a consortium. Yes, absolutely. I agree on that.
I'm not even sure of that. I think that we, in terms of people that actually want to change things in the world, and obviously we all realize that Soros and others, and even people that that run Fox News. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Murdoch.
Murdoch. Yeah, Murdoch. Right.
Yeah.
Obviously, some people are actually changing the shape of information and how people around the world interact with politics and other things. But the idea that there's some conspiracy, as in the Bilderbergers, really strikes the average person, average individual, as somewhat just wild.
It's just out there, huh? Well,
yeah.
Can I just say, in my book, I really don't conclude anything about Bilderbergs. It's just, here's information on the Bilderberg, and it's everything that I could possibly find. I found this, I found that, I found this, I found that. I don't come to a conclusion on it, but I try to, I try to connect some dots and try to see what I can make sense out of it with the book. But I don't offer any conclusions on it. But go ahead.
Yeah, Adam, it's me, Rodan. Let me chime in. I'm looking at the chapters of the book, and really, it doesn't even have much to do with the Bilderbergers. He's just talking about. It seems more about like the leftist agenda, and how many of the goals that were stated by the communists in the early 20th century, the Democratic Party, the progressives, however you want to call them, have actually implemented. That seems to be more the crux of the book, from my observation. Dave, would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's like I said, it's the first half of this chapter is where it says globalization. The first half is information on the Bilderberg, and the second half is all basically it lists all the foundations that Soros funds, and some of the like an overview of what each one stands for and what each one tries to accomplish. So, just trying to connect the dots. It's when you look at who.
Go ahead. No, it was the idea of the Bilderberger. Rodan, I guess I misunderstood. Your introduction kind of included the idea of the Bilderbergers, so I was kind of, alarmed at that. That would be the primary concept of the book. But yeah,
it's a small part of the book. I've got some. If you go to blogspot.com and check on the blog, type in "Stay Mad: Observations of a Proletarian." I actually list the whole blog is basically just chunks, little bits of the book, excerpts of the book, as kind of like articles. And I also posted. There's probably 3 or 4 posts down. Is the table of contents, just so that people can know that it's not about me just bashing the new Black Panthers. It's not about me just bashing George Soros. It's not about me just bashing unions. It covers. It's like the book says. It's just things that I saw. Things, and if I can see it, I'm not an expert. I found this.
Let me clear up something, Adam and Dave. When I said absolutely, I know who the Bilderbergers were, because I am very familiar with who they are. Again, but to me, in my worldview, they're just one of many of these meetings of the elites where they discuss how they're going to shape global events. It's not a conspiracy, okay? More like like they meet in Davos, Switzerland, right? And they say, this is the new trend line. Like 20 years ago, it was globalization. Now it's this cooperation with the Islamic world or something. That's more of the lines how I view things. Not that there's this this room with 9 unknown men and we're gonna start a war here and have country A against country B. Nah. That's not like where I'm coming from at all. I do, however, believe that the elites of Europe, America, do have a transnationalist agenda that eventually will not. Like, we're going to have a one world government, microchips implanted, nothing like that. That's not where I'm coming from. But that, as we see now in the case of Libya, these supranational organizations will have power over nation states. Not direct power, but indirectly. For example, Obama has not gone to Congress for military authorization for Libya. Now, I know there's the War Powers Act, but here's the problem. The Wars Power Act is only if the U.S. is under immediate threat and if we're going to get into a major conflict. Gaddafi was not a threat to the United States. That's an example right there where the UN, a resolution which was submitted by Lebanon, we all know who controls Lebanon, Hezbollah, to declare a no-fly zone in Libya, and the people we're helping were killing American soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan. A Libyan commander openly admitted he was with Al-Qaeda and that many of his fighters are Al-Qaeda. And think of it like this. Why is no major Republican coming out against this war? Why is it when you go to National Review, Weekly Standard, with the exception of people like Andrew McCarthy, most major, quote, conservative figures are cheerleading us helping Al-Qaeda? Adam, don't you think that's kind of weird that there's not major opposition to this?
Yeah, no, it is. It is. And I'm trying to get back to what David was talking about in his book, but
right.
In terms of this Libya intervention, there have been people conjecturing on blogs that Soros is actually intervening here because he's got oil contracts and Italy and France are deeply involved in that exploration projects, and I really that makes sense. That can make sense to a lot of people, especially U.S. citizens who have some kind of input in the next election. But in terms of Bilderberger, that kind of conspiracy thing, I think it may be straying so far off. Yeah, go ahead.
Adam, listen to this for a second, okay? The leaked agenda for topics of discussion by the Bilderberg Group. Number 1, will the euro survive? Number 2, development in Europe. Europe's exit strategy. On hold? Question mark. Number 3, do we have institutions to deal with the world economy? Question mark. Number 4, Greece. Lesson. Now this is last year's thing, so obviously a lot has gone on since then. The lessons and forward-looking strategies. 5, NATO and Afghanistan, the practical agenda for the alliance. Number 6, Iran and Russia, economic and financial threats to the alliance. 7, consequences. The consequences of war against terrorism. Number 8, the influence of domestic issues on American foreign policy. Number 9, and there's 10 here. Number 9, the outlook for Japan's economy. Well, obviously that's changed recently. Number 10, the future of the U.S. dollar, alternate scenarios. And then there was actually a late entrance to the list, global cooling. So in other words, global warming wasn't really working for him because that was on their list, a few meetings ago. Global warming, so that's not working because it got exposed by what's his name, Edenhofer, in the name.
ClimateGate.
Yeah, the climate gate thing. Yeah. And it's and that's not about climate at all. It's about redistribution of wealth, only on a global scale. So.
Yeah, wasn't that the Institute of East Anglia or something?
Yeah. That's the name. Yeah. I just couldn't get that one out. But
Well,
yeah.
I'm actually, David, if I have your attention, I'm kind of curious about the whole thing. Europe actually seems to be in danger in terms of their economic situation, particularly in sovereign enterprises. The bonds are under attack, particularly recently. Portugal, and Spain, and Ireland's in some kind of weird phase, which I don't really understand. Bilderbergers are, or they were at some point in time, primarily located in Europe. Is that true?
Well, they're not located. They changed their location. I mean, they're not based out of any one place. I mean, they have moguls from all over, coming to their.
It's Rodan, Dave. I do know what the Bilderberger, I believe, was a hotel in Holland or.
Yeah, and they just said, okay, we'll name it that.
And like I said, from my perspective, it's not like this super secretive organization planning to take over the world per se, but they clearly, they basically get together, the big players in politics, media, entertainment, and they, quote, discuss world issues, and they do have an agenda, and a lot of times they tend to shape the agenda of public opinion.
Well, yeah, the people that go there, everybody that's invited, obviously it's an invitation only, they're members of what's called a steering committee.
Correct.
What do you think the steering committee does?
And on that note, let me bring in another caller. Adam, of course, you could hang out. You know how we do it on the show. Let me bring Etnor's Troll. Etnor's Troll. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, we're doing good in my little cave here, just trying to stay away from the radioactivity that's getting spewed out that can't be properly registered or determined by people whose business it is to know radioactivity. But, I'm going to keep counting on them that they're going to be providing us accurate information. There's no motivation to lie.
Talk fast because you want to get your question out.
Right. Okay, so I just wanted to make a quick comment. And the comment is that recently, like in the last few hours, there is a party in Norway that has now voted to start bombing Israel. Yes, they're called the Socialist Left, or Socialist Venstre. I just want you to know that they're a small party. They're the fourth largest in Norway. They no way reflect all of Norway, but it is very chilling because they do have 10,000 members. But I didn't want people out there to start jumping to conclusions about Norwegians that we advocate killing Jews in their own country for defending themselves from Hamas. So that's what I wanted to get out to the group so that there wasn't any misunderstanding. But it is worthy of keeping an eye on. So that's the only thing I wanted to say. Yep.
All right. Hey, Rodan, can I do one thing?
Sure.
I just want to give a shout out. I promised a shout out to Pam in East Texas. She's actually helping me promote the book down where she is because I'm up in New Hampshire. So I said I'll give you a shout out on the air. So thank you, Pam. That's all.
Well, I'm really glad, Adam, you did bring up that question. About the Bilderberg thing, because you're right. A lot of people, as soon as they hear the word, they think, "Oh, Alex Jones is something."
Do you know who went to the last meeting there last year?
Not off the top of my head.
Well, who would? I don't have them off the top of my head, but I have a few of them in front of me. Martin Feldstein, he's a professor at Harvard. Bill Gates, you know who he is. Donald Graham from the Washington Post. Henry Kissinger. Bill Clinton. Peter Orszag. Robert Rubin. Eric Schmidt. James Steinberg and Paul Volcker. I mean, those are just some that rang a bell. There was more.
Those guys are